So were you watching on Monday? I hope you were, because guess what? Oprah was here, and she revealed her newest pick for Oprah's book club, first on CBS This Morning. We like when that happens. It's called The Water Dancers, the highly anticipated fiction debut from the critically acclaimed author Ta-Nehisi Coates. He has already won a National Book Award and a Macarthur Genius grant for his nonfiction work. This is his first novel, as we know. So we met Coates on Thomas Jefferson's estate, that's Monticello, where he told us that he found inspiration for his very first novel.
It occurred to me then that even my own intelligence was unexceptional. For you could not set eyes anywhere on Lockless and not see the genius in its makers, genius in the hands that carved out the columns of the portico.
It took Ta-Nehisi Coates 10 years to imagine the world of enslaved people in The Water Dancer. The book tells the story of Hiram Walker, an exceptionally gifted man born in bondage. The title, The Water Dancer, what does that mean?
There were enslaved Africans who literally leapt into the water when they were, being brought over to America. People would, talk about how, these folks, when they leaped, they almost, seemed to dance on the waves.
But water plays a key role in this book several times.
What Hiram has is memory. The water symbolizes the need to not forget, to remember what happened and the great power that he can pull from that.
I feel this is one of the few books, Ta-Nehisi, that really touches on the humanity and the emotion of slavery. In most cases, it's painted with a monolithic brush. We don't normally have individual stories.
Right. I wanted to bring that into the fictional realm. I wanted to center the emotions and the feelings of the actual enslaved people.
For his first novel, Coates based the story in Lockless, a fictional plantation inspired by Monticello.
And it was enslaved labor that put this whole house together.
It's the home of President Thomas Jefferson, a founding father who himself enslaved over 600 people.
Can't look for a fairy tale. This is history. History's dirty.
History's dirty.
History's dirty. It's the muck.
What impacted being here in Monticello? Because you came here.
I did.
In the course of researching for this book. How did it help you with this story?
Well, I was at a place in writing where I had written a draft, and it wasn't a good draft.
Says who?
Says me and my editor. It just felt dead. It was actually here at Monticello that
So to bring his story to life, Coates came to this excavation site. Is this the imprint of a house?
Yes, exactly.
Where archaeologists unearthed the home of an enslaved family and the artifacts they used.
I didn't know we have marbles right here.
So what was missing before you came here, the before and the after,
Right.
What was missing?
I think it had they had no heart. And the characters, the enslaved people specifically, weren't people. You have to get the small details of their life, you know what I mean? You have to, again, get them playing marbles. You have to get them playing the instruments and all of that little small stuff. You have to get their humor in
You know what
there.
I call that? Humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you envision? What do you see when you look at this?
Even like the natural sounds we hear right now, like the insects, like little stuff like that. Looking at the shadows and the way the light, comes between the trees, like little things like that. After I left here, I had it, I was buzzing, and when I sat down, it went out of my fingers. Yeah, exactly, onto the page.
You had said that you were good at two things, writing and driving.
Yeah.
And that if your writing career hadn't worked out, that you would have been a taxi driver. Really?
I would have, yeah. I wanted to.
Why?
Because I wasn't making it. I mean, I had gotten, fired from this alternative paper in Philly. I gotten fired from the Village Voice. I got laid off from Time Magazine. All that happened in a period of 5 years.
Well, you must have been discouraged by that. Fired 3 times.
I wouldn't have stopped writing. I just didn't think I could make a career at it. It was quite clear that whatever it took to make a career writing, I probably didn't have. Even like when I went to the Atlantic, I ended up being at the Atlantic for 10 years. But the first 2 years, I was like, this is how it ends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just waiting. Like, they're gonna be like, kid, you really ain't got it.
So what turned for you that you're not driving a cab or Uber or Lyft today?
My wife wasn't hearing that. You need good people in your life. You know what I mean? And I'm lucky that I live with a really, really good and wise person.
Do you have any other fiction books in there?
I have a ton. I got a ton. I got to figure out how to get them out, but yeah, I have many.
You do? Are they all in this genre?
No, but today I was talking to one of the historians here, and I was thinking, what if it's my job just to tell the story of the enslaved? What if that's everything I write from here on? Because
Would you be satisfied with that?
I think so, because there's so much. Like, you have to remember, the period of enslavement is 250 years in this country. And up until relatively recently, the story has only been told by people who had a vested interest in shading it a certain way and really erasing the stories of the enslaved. Now, that's a tragedy. But if you're a storyteller, well, that's the most beautiful thing in the world, because there's a wealth of information that people have not explored and are just beginning to dig into.
I love talking to him. He said he had a moment when Colson Whitehood's book, The Underground, was released. He thought, uh-oh, now the story's been told.
Yeah.
Then he said he thought to himself, hey, when somebody does a Western, nobody says there's no more Western stories to tell.
Yeah.
Ta-Nehisi's book, by the way, is #1 on Amazon and Apple already. And a famous author once said this: I've been wondering who might fill the intellectual void that plagued me after James Baldwin died. Clearly, it's Ta-Nehisi Coates. The person who said that was Toni Morrison.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
And compared to James Baldwin,
amazing
they're
to
getting bigger than that.
Amazing to hear him talk about how he works.